So then I went down to pick it up, took it over to Race Rods in Spring Valley, and really started to dig into it. Got a real good look at the chassis and the front axles.
Look at these axles. They're just giant balls on the end. It's really interesting. I don't know what's going on here though. Got a ton of up and down play on the wheel. You can see it jiggling back and forth. I gotta take it apart and see what's going on in there.
The transfer case, the transmission.
There's a brake on the freaking drive shaft. Interesting. Fuel cell is all cruded out. These leaf springs look pretty shot. Shocks are toast, obviously. Actually looks a little better under here than it does on top. So the way this system works is kind of like a monster truck. So it's got transmission right there, up in there, right? And then that's linked to a transfer case right here, which then splits to the front and the rear independently. I'm just gonna go upside down a little bit here. So the exhaust blew its butthole out. That's the expansion chamber. I don't know what else is supposed to be on there, so I gotta put a whole new exhaust on. Right now the distributor has a problem where it slips at a time. Maybe I can change to electronic ignition and time it some other way. I'm not sure, but hopefully I can figure it out. Most of these parts are in Japan or Australia, so it's gonna be really hard to replace them.
And then I got to really take a look at the rust and kind of size that up. There was some rot in the body, but really it was isolated to the body. So most of the rust was in the, you know, by the door boxes and kind of where the typical places.
Right here where I believe the battery would go, it's all rotted out. Not even connected here anymore. That's where it held the front clip on. One last one here, vice grip on there. That thing is rusted, crusted, and not coming off. There it goes. Broke anyways. This is pretty fun so far. Listen to how cute she is. She don't want to run, but we'll get it there.
It has a drum brake system all around. When I pulled the drums off, it was pretty bad inside. There was a lot of debris. The dirt daubers, the hornet's nests were inside the drums, so that was pretty interesting.
What in the world? I guess they were getting in through the adjustment hole. The splines are still really fucked up. The axle side looks alright. Bearings look like they're together. Cylinders aren't as bad over here. This side's a pad's fucked up. Axle still looks alright. Cylinders look pretty bad. Splines on this one are real bad. Almost gone. So, gonna order these. Only set I can find is in Holland, the Netherlands, for like 500 bucks.
So I just kind of worked my way through the whole vehicle, kind of analyzed it, looked at, okay, what's functional, what's not functional, what needs to be replaced. I was really looking as a functional build. So I wanted to not break the bank, just kind of get it on the road, assess things as I went along, get the factory engine running, and then get it out to the desert and have a little bit of fun with it and fix things as they went along. I wasn't doing like a full tear down rebuild because it was in such rough shape. I figured once I started, it would be a slippery slope and I would just end up doing everything.
Hood needs some cleaning, so I'm taking care of that. Little rot, splits, all these kind of splits. I'm not going crazy doing a full restoration, but just grinding away all of these scale under the paint. This one's pretty nasty. Not terrible though, I can fix this. So, yep, just bearing out all the scale that's bubbling up through the paint. Kind of like this, more like that. Just grinding it away, and then I'll throw some paint on it before the end of the day here, just so it stays where it's at until I can get to it. Just got the body off of the chassis, and gonna be able to get to all this gunky transfer case and all that stuff and get it all sorted out. So the plan is to get the chassis nice and solid, functional with the engine and everything, and then from there go on to aesthetics with the body. There's a lot of rotten stuff, and I'm kind of on the fence whether I want to fix it or not, because I think I want to just have this be a really scratch it up and have fun with it in the desert, rock crawler type of thing. So if I make it too nice, I'm just gonna go fuck it up. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do some improvements, make some things more stout, not worry about, like put some sliders here instead of replacing all this rocker stuff, like just things that I know that, functional upgrades that'll help out in the desert. Got the gauges out of here. Pretty much every bolt that I'm working with is breaking. So yeah, it's good times. There's lots of them. It's a rusted mess of bolts. So yeah, you can see half of them are broken in there. But it's pretty simple. There's no seats, interior, or gauges really at all. So all I had to do was disconnect some wires and cables, and that's it. Body came right off. 6 bolts. Use the engine hoist and just pulled her up. So yeah, I got to get her up and out of the way. Got to figure out how to do that. So I'm kind of cramped in here between Corvettes and AMC Hornet that's going on a tube chassis. And then we got 3 Corvettes that we're working on, C3, C4, C3, just kind of squeezed in here. Ordered a new distributor gear. That's the problem with the engine, was the gear on the bottom of the distributor, this tiny little 2 wires distributor. That was worn out. So it would stay in time for only a couple cycles, and then if you put your hand on the distributor, you could feel it click and click out of time. So I found a guy with one on eBay. All right, body's off. Just one little engine hoist. Yep. It's for an engine. It's a tilt. So you can tilt it to adjust for an imbalance. That's how I got it level. So yeah, now time to move it off.
So I got the body off, started going in on the transmission and the engine, got that pressure washed, got all the grime off of it, started taking a look at what I was missing and what I needed, assessed the brake situation, got new brake lines, bled the brakes, rebuilt the cylinders, just trying to get everything functioning. The brake shoes were extremely horrible. They're still pretty bad. There's a couple companies that have them, but they're not on this continent. So doesn't really make sense to do that. Brake shops can put material back on the shoes, so that's something I'm just going to do locally. What was weird about the drums was they're actually the driving element of this vehicle, so they're splined and they mate to the splines on the axles, and so the front one someone had put on loose, and so the splines were just hammered, like just absolutely hammered. And they were definitely not drivable with the front. They were slipping like crazy. The rears were okay. So then started the hunt to try and find some drums. I ended up finding a guy in Colorado who he and his father used to build them out. And so he has a barn full of parts. So I got a couple of drums from him, not cheap at all. That's another thing. So the parts for this vehicle are insanely expensive because they're so rare, and there's the demand is not high, but it's just insane what people like. Just for drums and shoes and cylinders from a company in Europe, the total was over like $4,000, which is more than I paid for the vehicle. So I was like, all right, I gotta like figure out what I'm gonna do here, because this is not gonna work. I'm gonna have to disc brake conversion, axle conversion, like whatever I'm gonna have to do. So I kind of start regretting the buy at that point, but I worked through it. But anyway, so I got the engine running. Jack told me that the engine had issues with timing because the distributor would slip gears, and he was convinced that it was the teeth on the distributor itself. So I figured, hey, I'll find another distributor and then I'll change out the gear, and then that should be fine.
All right, so got the new gear on, new distributor gear. As you can see, if you look at the old one there, you can see the difference in the teeth. This one here has got the curvature to the teeth, and this one's got flat teeth. See how they're different? So this one's worn out. So I ordered this off eBay from some guy that I messaged for extra parts, and he had one of these lying around. So I just put the new gear on my current distributor that's complete. But yeah, now we got a good distributor gear with straight teeth. So I think we should be good. It's gonna go ahead and put it in the vehicle. Got the body off right now though, so I'm gonna go ahead and pressure wash that first.